All right, hello. Welcome back to my cancer story. Um, Today, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about I'm going to start talking about radiation now, which I know it's a big step up from my last episode where we just literally just talked about the second chemo session. There was a lot of there was a lot more chemo sessions before I got radiation, and I made a video earlier today just with small stories from them, because to be honest, there really isn't much to talk about. Just I was just getting sick a lot and all that kind of way in the other ones, but I'll come back to them in another video. I'll just talk about the short stories. Now what I want to talk about is I want to talk about radiation and the start of it. So when we were getting the radiation set up, we found out that the radiation wasn't going to be done in Crumlin. We'd have to get radiation and it's down in St. Luke's. I don't know, it's about, I'd give it about a 20-minute drive away, 20-minute, half an hour drive away from Crumlin. That's where the radiation was going to take place. But and talking about it, we were talking to this woman who was like in charge of the whole thing. I can't remember her name. Right? Obviously now I had the cancer down in my testicles, so they'd have to radiate like all that area kind of way. And I remember them talking to me, and they said, if we radiate some of this area, you'll never be able to like get hard again. And like that was literally just like them saying, here, look, you're gonna lose your manhood basically after this. And I was like, can't do that. I do not want to do that like at all. That's like a dog getting fucking neutered or whatever, like that kind of way. And I was like, oh, why? Like, and then, but then they like, but we could take a risk and kind of like not do that area for that to happen, kind of way. And I was like, yeah, I'll just take the risk. Fuck it. If I, I can't like not go on around my life without getting hired ever again. Like, I can't, couldn't do that. Like, fucking hell. Um, so I was like, yeah, I'd rather like nearly die in a few years' time if that's what it means. Like, that's stupid. And they were like, okay, grand, fair enough. So that was the talking point done of it all. We got that out of the way, that was not happening anyway. Straight away, made sure. Um, and they were like, grand, okay, so St. Luke's, and they they said, okay, it's gonna have to be done every day in St. Luke's in Dublin. And I didn't know that. No, I thought it would be done like what, twice a week, 3 times a week. Um, so no, that's not how it works. You have to get it done every single day, and all it takes is 15 minutes under the machine. That's all it takes. That's like the hard part to swallow is when you live in Cork and you literally have to go up to Dublin for something that takes 15 minutes. Um, so that ended up like, so I was thinking with my family, I was like, well, before I started it, I was there dead set being like, yeah, I'll get the train up and the train back every day. I'll do that because I do not want to stay in there. Um, they have rooms for people doing radiation, like they have these rooms, and that's all they had really. But and I was like, no, I'd rather just go up in the train. But my parents were like, you're not going to be able to do that like properly. If the train was free, we have a card. We had like this card that made everything free, so it wouldn't be a problem. Like going, the money's not a problem. They just said you're not going to be able to. You're going to be too tired a lot. So I said no, 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 I wouldn't, surely not. Um, so but then they were like, look, we're going to have to look at the housing or the apartments right next to or a part of the hospital like for radiation patients. They said, look, we're going to have to look at it anyway just in case. I was like, fine, grand, fair enough, I'll go look at it. So we went in, looked at it, and I've never been so confident in what I wanted to do. This When I first looked at it, I was like, okay, now I definitely want to take the train every day, because it just looked like it did not belong there. I was the youngest kid there by at least 20 years. 20 years, like I said 25, 30. They were all, I say more, yeah, they were old people, like, I remember looking at them and I was like, I can't stay. And there was a bit of a smell as well. There was like the hospital smell was in there, and it was kind of annoying. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was annoying. I was like, I can't stay here. I just can't do this. Like this, I just don't. I just looked at it, I was like, I don't belong here. I do not belong here. Like, but like they said, look, you're gonna have to think about it. So eventually, my mom just said, look, we're gonna have to get it. Like, you can't keep going up and down on the train. You're gonna be too tired. And eventually, I just said, look, I knew that. I knew already that I was gonna be too tired to do it. So I said, grand, okay, fair enough. I won't. So this is about, I don't know how long before it. But we booked a room anyway. It was mom. It was mom that stayed with me for like the 6. We were allowed back home on weekends, but we had to stay up in Dublin for 6 weeks. And I look back at it now, and it actually flew the time. But you think like it would never. You think it was never going to end. Like, you think this is never going to end. It's gonna go on forever. 6 weeks. It actually went fast when you got the first one, or when the first week was really slow though, really slow, and I was like, how am I going to do this? This is so boring. So I'll talk about the very first session. But see, we had radiation and chemotherapy work together. Eventually, I was going to have to go to Crumlin, get chemotherapy, go to St. Luke's, and get radiation at the same time. It's awful the way they do it. It's really bad. Um, the first session, anyway, I remember the hospital, St. Luke's, really nasty hospital smell St. Luke's had. That's one part I always remember. They had a nasty hospital smell, really, really thick smell. My mom didn't notice, but I noticed like immediately before walking in. So I walked in anyway. They told us where to go. Yeah, whatever. Walked in, into this room. Pretty like fucking basic room. Like, it doesn't look like anything bad's gonna happen. It looks like an X-ray kind of room. They said, yeah, lie down on the. Already kind of knew what to do with it. They just said lie down on the table. As for the date of birth and all that, and I'll never forget, they started playing. They had now that's the album, now that's what I call music. I can't remember which one it was, but the song that came on every single time, and I can't listen to that song. It's the one called Panda or something. I'll put up a video of it. I can't remember I think it's called Panda now. It came up every single day, and it just drove me insane afterwards because they always played it. So they started that music on. Worst music ever, like, oh my god. They didn't even have like an iPod or something, or Bluetooth, like, they had a DVD or CD player with the worst music. And they so what the thing did, it was like it rotated around you, and you saw the beam coming down, but you didn't like feel anything. You don't feel it at all. So it does that. Literally takes 15 minutes. The shit music's still playing, and I come back out, and they said, "Yeah, go on, you're okay now. That's it. See you tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay, grand." Walked away. I went back into the apartment. The apartment was 2 beds, a TV, and a toilet. Basically, there was nothing else. It was okay though. The beds were comfy, but it's not where you wanted to stay. So after a while, I was lying down in bed with my iPad, which I spent, I say, nearly the entire time on my iPad. Oh my god, I'll never forget. It's the sickness I had. I didn't get sick, but the sickness and the weakness, it was 10 times worse than the chemotherapy. You are flat, laid back on the bed, can't do anything. You're just there like that, feeling awfully sick. I had to get like these the sickness tablets because I was in a horrible way. And but after a while, with the radiation, you do get used to the sickness. It's the sickness you get used to, but you never get used to how weak and tired you are all the time. You never want to do anything because you're so, first of all, unmotivated because of the whole cancer thing, and because you are actually like so tired. And I didn't get sick, but I fell asleep, and I woke up the next day, and I slept for about 15 hours. I'd say it was weird. And yeah, that was my first radio. That was my first radiation therapy session. And so I'm gonna leave it there. That was my first, and the next time I'll talk about I'll just talk about the next one. See, like, I'm not gonna talk about every single radiation session because it's the same thing all the time. But I'll talk about the rest of it. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.